What is going on, ladies, gentlemen, listeners of the Didn't Ask podcast? Welcome back to another episode of this right here podcast, the Didn't Ask podcast, episode 92. Welcome back. It's been a while. I was gone last week because, man, I fell ill. And first off, so I had to say that I got a little bit ill last weekend. So, not the past weekend, but the weekend before that. And then I stuffed my face with vitamins and you name all the shit. So I was like, okay, hopefully I will suppress the illness and I'll just continue working, because I was very busy last week in the office because we had an event and then we had a Christmas party and you name it. There was so much shit going on. And I was like, I cannot miss any of it. So I stuffed my face with vitamins, and then I got through Monday through Tuesday, and then Tuesday, at least I got through Monday. Let's start there. I got through Monday. Then Tuesday I came to the office fairly early because, again, we had an event for work, and then I noticed like, oh, it's not going well. I was starting to feel ill, and it wasn't great, and I was like, oh god, this is not good. I got through that day. It was a very long day. Then my cat died as well on that day, and it was a bad fucking time, man. And then that Wednesday, I was just done. I ran out of juice. Basically, actually, like physically and mentally, I just ran out. And I was just like, well, I have to fucking succumb to the illness. So I stayed home the rest of the fucking week in preparation of the Christmas party that we had on Friday, because we had a Christmas party on Friday and I really wanted to be there. Not only just to have the fun party, but also just to see my colleagues and everybody have fun. And the theme was glitter and glamour. It was like a movie night theme. And I was like planning on getting fucking out there. You know what I mean? I was planning a great outfit. I wanted to buy some more stuff and buy some more jewelry, but because I got sick, I didn't have time to do so, sadly. But luckily, I looked absolutely fucking amazing, bro. Like, I was looking so fly that everybody was giving me compliments, and holy shit, I was so happy with that because we put a little bit of time in there. You know, I had like a nice suit on, wearing a fucking turtleneck, got a nice necklace that I've had for many fucking years and I never really wear. So I was having that. I got a hat, like a cool ass hat, like a fedora type hat. Like, oh man, I looked fucking baller. You know what I mean? I looked baller, and that was the point. And everybody, like I said, paid me compliments, and that was fucking awesome. Because that gives you a great feeling, especially when you are sick, like I was. And I was just like, oh god, how am I gonna fucking get through this? Is the outfit gonna work? But luckily, everything worked out. We got to the party. We had a great time. And again, everybody loved my outfit, and I loved them for that. So that was last week. And then I feel better now, but still am a bit ill. So that's why we didn't have a podcast last week, because it was just, I was just in no fucking mood to do so. I was tired, and I've been feeling tired for the last fucking week. But luckily, we're here now. We're doing the podcast. We're getting closer and closer to the 100th episode. And that's the goal, right? We want to reach that 100th episode. And it's going to take a little longer now, but we will get there in the end. How was your weekend? Like, oh wait, I didn't even talk to you about this past weekend. This past weekend, again, still a little bit ill, so didn't really do that much. But yesterday I went to see K3, which is this kids pop band that has been around for many years in many iterations now. And I went with my niece, and she had a fun time. Even though she's not really a fan of the music and stuff like that, like, she had a great time. It's a kid. Going to a show like that is always fun. And I was happy to bring her to that, because, you know, that's what life is about, enjoying things and experiencing life. So I'm happy that I went with her and that she had a good time doing so. So that was my weekend. How was your weekend? Did you have a good time? Are you feeling 100%? Because that's very important, especially now that we're getting closer and closer to the holidays. We're getting close to Christmas. We're getting closer to New Year's. Like, you name it. There are so many things happening now. Like, I still need to buy so many Christmas presents. and it's a mess. But hopefully we'll get through there, and hopefully I'm gonna get through this. You know what I mean? I hope we get there in the end. But anyways, that's not what this is about. Let's just jump into the first question because that's why you're here to hear from me what the answers to the most popular questions of the Reddit of this past week have been. And I've again skipped a week now, so it's been a bit weird, but I'm not gonna go back all the way. Man, it's too hard. The fucking Reddit doesn't even have the ability to do so. So let's jump into the first question coming from user UK What's Crazy. And they ask, what's something extremely popular but you just can't give a fuck about? So the past couple of weeks we have had the World Cup going on and I don't give a shit. Like the World Cup is one of those things where it's just like I don't care. It's one of the things that's just like it's happening, and every time people complain, and that's mostly the thing with sports overall, people just complain a lot. It's always complaining about, oh, the fucking referee did this, oh, the fucking player just fucking jumped up the floor and did this, and then there's a penalty, and then, oh, the fucking referee gave a penalty for no reason, and then a VAR, and then, oh, there's a goal, and I just can't. I just fucking couldn't care less. It's one of those things where it's just like, people really love football, and I'm going to call it football because that's what it is, but I personally, I don't care. It is one of the few sports that I have nothing with. And I say nothing, and that might be even, that might be an overstatement. But like, there is very little for me that I'm just like, I don't really get excited about it. Let's say it like that. I can kind of understand it as a sport, but like, there are so many other sports going on that I think are just way more interesting. Of course, we have UFC going on, even though we had this last weekend was the final event of the year, because they also like to have a holiday break and they deserve a holiday break. We also have field hockey. There's like a field hockey tournament going on right now. I think personally that's way more interesting. We of course still have the NFL going on, which is really fun, and there are some fun games played over there. I personally think that normal, like the average competition of football, is a lot more interesting than the World Cup. And of course, we're gonna get soon to Boxing Day, which is a very big tradition in UK football. So that's gonna be really fun because my cousin is gonna be playing, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I think that that is a really, really fun competition to be around with the Premier League and then doing their Boxing Day sports, whatever. I think that that is way more fun. We have boxing now that's kind of building some steam back up, which is interesting. Even though we had the Tyson Fury Chisora fight, which wasn't that great, but you know, it's a thing that's going on and it's happening. And I think that all of those sports are way more interesting than the World Cup is to me. But hey, people like their football, and this is the thing that happens once every 4 years. But because of that, I don't really fucking care. So, going back to the question asked by user UK What's Crazy? What's something extremely popular but you don't give a fuck about? And I would say the World Cup. I just don't fucking care about the World Cup. It's just one of those things where it's just like, okay, sure, you go ahead, do what the fuck you want to do. But I personally I actually didn't watch any of the games. Like I zapped past it, like just like scroll past it on my fucking timeline and shit like that. But like I didn't watch it. I have better things to do. I have wrestling to watch. I have fucking field hockey to watch. I have UFC to watch. So many things to watch. Fuck the World Cup. Thank you for your question. Moving on to the second question of today, as by user Lurch Impaler. Not using 1 to 10 skill. How attractive are you? I feel like I am fairly attractive, but that's one of those things where it's just like that it has been a very long journey for me to get to this point where I'm just like, oh, I actually like the way I look. Do I think there are things that I can improve on? Yes. My teeth are still fucked. Like I have one of my front tooth got shaved off like many years ago, or like many years ago, because of a swimming pool accident. So I just lost, I basically chipped the front tooth, but like it didn't get chipped off, but it got basically grinded off. So there is no way for me to get that shit attached because it's just absolutely fucking gone. And at the time, I they couldn't fix it because my teeth were so crooked that they were just like, yeah, we cannot fix it right now. We need to get braces on them, and then afterwards we can fix it. But then afterwards we never fixed it. So that is the thing that has been bothering me a little bit. And then there's also like a little gap in my front tooth, even though I did wear braces. So that's always a thing that has been really annoying to me. And I need to ask my dentist to be like, hey, can we do something about it? Because it's bothering me now because I'm looking at it and I'm just like, ah. Like it is, I feel like it's affecting me. But again, I feel like I'm still pretty attractive. I've worked really hard to get a good looking body, even though my body is still fucked because of fucking medical things. But like, I think that that is still a thing that I am very proud of the body that I've created for myself, that I've worked really hard on, that now showcases that, hey, your boy is looking good. You know what I mean? Your boy got abs. Your boy got some muscle. Your boy is doing fucking well every fucking morning, training, making sure that the body is looking good, that the body is feeling excelente, as I would say. Body looking excelente. You know what I'm saying? That's what KSI would say. And I think that that is very important to me. So therefore, I'm saying like I feel like I'm kind of attracted. And then I look at, again, going back to the Christmas party. I look at myself at the fucking Christmas party, and I know that we cannot use a fucking scale for 1 to 10. But fuck me, I look fucking good, man. I look so fucking fly with my hat on, with my nice chain necklace, bro. I look fucking good, bro. I look fucking sexy as fuck. I cannot believe that the ladies didn't jump on it, you know what I'm saying? So maybe we need to look at the fucking teeth and get that shit fixed out because there is something going on. There is a disconnect. Your boy is looking sexy, but the body looking excelente, and still your boy doesn't get girls. What the fuck is going on, man? But I would say that, yeah, I would say that I am attracted. That, yeah, we cannot use a scale from 1 to 10, but I would say that, yeah, I think I'm attracted. I don't think that I'm the most attractive person around. I'm not gonna be that fucking cocky. But I would say that I am good looking. You know, I am, I clean up nicely. I'm a nice boy. You know what I mean? You can bring me to your fucking parents. I would like to meet the parents-in-law and the in-laws. I would like the in-laws. You know what I mean? The in-laws would like me. So, going back to the question asked by user Lurge Impaler, not using 1 to 10, how attractive are you? I would say I am fairly attracted. Like, I'm fairly attractive. I think that I am definitely not ugly, but there are still some things that I think we can improve on. Maybe a little bit, like in the slightest. There are still some things that I can work on, but overall, I would say that, you know, body looking excelente. I'm nice. I'm looking good. I, of course, have the benefit that I am a light skin. I am I'm 10, you know what I mean? So that helps, especially in these fucking days now where it's fucking minus fucking 10 degrees and shit. Even though it's getting warmer, which I'm very happy about because I've been fucking frozen constantly. But yeah, I think that I'm relatively attractive. Relatively attractive. Thank you for your question, Lurch and Baylor. Moving on to the third question of today. Coming from user Freezer WPG. And they ask, those who haven't caught COVID yet, how have you managed to avoid it? I personally don't know how the fuck I did it. We have been going on with this COVID thing for almost like 3 years now, basically, right? It was like 20, was it 2019 or 20? It was COVID-19. It was March 2019 then, I guess. Right? Something like that. Let's say it was March 19. I don't fucking know. And I honestly don't know. Personally, I think that I might have caught it somewhere along the way, but have not really registered it as such. But yeah, I have been blessed, I would say, and I'm gonna knock on wood now. I've been blessed that I somehow got to avoid it so many times, even though my whole family has gotten it, and I've been floating around these people for ever now at this point, I guess. And it's just been crazy where it's just like, oh, even my mom had it while I was here, and I was just like, ah, fuck, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? But somehow we got around it with each other and just went like, oh, I'm going to the bathroom now, and I'm going back to my room, and then you can go to the bathroom, and then you go to your room, and we managed to avoid each other in so many ways. But the funny thing is though that I've been avoiding COVID for such a long time and doing a pretty good job at it, if I say so myself. But then I get the fucking flu, and that shit fucking knocked me on my ass like real hard. And I'm just like, how the fuck did we get COVID here? And I managed to avoid that for fucking weeks. And then my mom gets ill with normal flu, and then I get ill. It's just one of those things where it's just like, how the fuck does that fucking work? So I honestly do not really know how I managed to avoid it. Like, I feel like it's one of those things where when it was peak COVID, I, tried to be very careful and tried to be wearing a mask and doing that, all that type of shit, trying to avoid crowded spaces and stuff like that. Now that's less the case, but somehow I still managed to avoid it. Again, knock on wood, because I just don't want to get it, especially after getting so sick from the normal flu. I am a little scared to be like, oh God, what is COVID gonna do to me? Especially because of the fucking medication I'm using and stuff like that. It's been an absolute fucking mess. So I think that is, yeah. I don't know. Going back to the question asked by user Freezer WPG, those who haven't caught COVID yet, how have you managed to avoid it? I think it's just a combination of me, first off, working in I work in communication, I work PR. So for me, there is no real need to go to the office per se. And if I go to the office, I don't really need to talk to anybody for long periods of time. So that helps me very much so, in the sense that I can just do whatever and don't necessarily have to have contact, like personal contact with people. And that's something that my mom does have to do because she works in retail. So she has to talk to random people constantly. And that's something that I don't have. I think that is a big factor. And then it's just the fact that, hey, yeah, I like to avoid people. I don't talk to many people. I don't have, close contact with people. I don't go out to drink and stuff like that. So I feel like all those things combined helped me a lot to get through COVID and avoid it until this time. So let's hope that we can keep this shit going, because I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get COVID. Oh. But thank you for your question, Freezer WPG. Moving on to the fourth question of the day, coming from the Ask a Reddit subreddit, asked by user clean-at-7901, and they ask, US wants to ban TikTok. What are your thoughts? I personally would love it. I personally don't care about TikTok. I think that my belief with TikTok has always been the best TikToks will make its way to Instagram, and then I'll see them there, or they will make their way into some fucking meme compilation and I'll see them there. Right? There is nothing that, especially now that fucking Instagram has the TikTok feature, basically Reels, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and fucking Facebook has Reels and everything has Reels now. I think that the real content, that is actual good content, will make its way somewhere else and will find its way to me in that way. But I don't care about TikTok per se. I hope TikTok dies, because of course it's been run by China and by the government, and it's been a whole complete fucking mess over there about with everything, really. So I personally think that TikTok can fucking perish in the fire, and I hope the US bans it, because it sucks and we don't need it. It's one of those things where it's just like, oh, it's one of those things where it's like, why the fuck do we have a social media that's controlled by Chinese government, right? Because we do not know what the fuck is going on with the algorithm and stuff like that. And there have been many reportings of tests that have been done, and people trying to influence the algorithm in the sense that, in a way where it's just like, oh, people, when you click and watch certain videos or whatever, then you get more of those videos, because that's how the algorithm works. And then all of a sudden, after fucking 20 minutes of scrolling to TikTok, you have a fucking suicide TikTok, and everything is about suicide and killing yourself, and that shit's fucking dangerous, bro. And if we as adults don't have control over that, we're fucked, because all these kids are gonna fucking look at fucking suicide videos and they're gonna commit suicide and shit like that. And this sounds like very much like a boomer thing to say, where it's just like, oh, these kids watch fucking suicide videos and then they will commit suicide. And while I don't think that that's necessarily true, I think there is definitely a thing to be said about fucking people watching depressing content and then getting depressed and then, resorting to weird ideas. So I would say, going back to the question asked by user clean-ad-7901, US wants to ban TikTok. What are your thoughts? I think that it is a very good thing because, first off, it's being controlled by China. We don't know the algorithm. And there are many tests going on right now where it's just like, oh, we're seeing that there is a depression TikTok and that leads to suicide TikTok, and that is very dangerous. And if we don't have control over that, I think that is very dangerous for our young ones. And I also think that the best TikToks will make their way to other platforms because people cannot really monetize TikTok, and they will find their money anywhere else. Thank you for your question. And now moving on to the final question of the Ask Reddit for today, coming from user blippity_09, and they ask, who in your opinion is the most overrated band or artist? I would say that the Beatles are pretty overrated in my opinion. And it's weird to say, of course, because we're looking back, and back in the day the Beatles were, of course, the biggest band across the world, right? They were fucking huge. They were the Beatles. But if I listen to their music now, I'm not gonna say you, I'm gonna say I. If I listen to the music now, I have no clue how the fuck these motherfuckers got so big. Like with other bands like Metallica and Motorhead, and I don't fucking know, you name them, all these big fucking bands, I go like, oh, I can understand why, they're the biggest. Why they have some good songs. Like even Elvis, where I'm not a big Elvis guy, but like I can see why people would be attracted to Elvis and be like, oh, that shit sounds fucking good, and but like with the Beatles, I listen to that shit and I go, what the fuck is this? Why the fuck did people listen to this shit? Like, it's, in my opinion, it's not even good. It's just bad. Like at best, it's mediocre. At best, it's mid, right? And then it's just like, how the fuck were these motherfuckers the biggest band in the goddamn world? Because their music fucking sucks, bro. It sucks. So yeah, I think that I'm gonna keep it short. So going back to the question asked by user blibbity_09, who, in your opinion, is the most overrated band or artist? And I would say the Beatles. I don't, in all honesty, don't really understand how they got so big. I mean, the fact is that there weren't many bands like them, and I think that is the main reason. But like, in my opinion, their music isn't great. It isn't that fucking good. So I don't really, in that sense, I just don't really understand. Thank you for your question, though. And now, moving on to the Am I the Asshole subreddit to answer this question, coming from user Throwaway Food Payback. And they ask, am I the asshole for asking my pregnant girlfriend to pay me for or replace my meal because she ate all of it? I've, 26 male, been with my girlfriend, 29 female, for going on 2 years. Before we ever met, she and her sister had been working on her being a surrogate for her sister and her sister's husband. The global things delayed that. We talked about her agreement before we got together, and now she's pregnant for them. She is staying with them for now, but she comes over to my place frequently to spend time with me while she's free. It's not so bad, but either she raids my kitchen or she complains nothing looks good and wanted me to keep some of her for sure cravings on hand. My parents came to visit me and asked me if I wanted them to pick anything up for me on their way. They had to pass one of my favorite restaurants to get here, so I said yes. They showed up. We visited with each other. I ate a little bit of what they brought me since I wasn't really hungry yet and put the rest in the fridge for dinner that night. My girlfriend wound up coming over for a bit after they left. She got hungry and wanted a snack and came out with the container I put my leftovers in and goes, "Can I have some of this?" I told her yes. She came back with a plate and she didn't take some of it, she took all of it and put all kinds of shit on it so I couldn't even share. I told her that I said she could have some and that she ate all of what I intended to have for dinner. So I asked her to either send me money to pay for it so I could go and get some myself, or she could make the drive and get me another order. She didn't want to drive so far, and she didn't think she should have to pay for me for anything. I told her she should because it would not be nice of her to do so since I get she gets cravings, but it's not like she's pregnant with my kid or we live together. She left at that point, left half the food uneaten, and I wouldn't eat it because of the shit she put on top of it. A couple of hours later, my mother called. My girlfriend texted her about what happened. My mom gave me an earful about how I have no idea what it's like for my girlfriend right now and I need to be supportive and let things go. Am I the asshole? I would say you're not the asshole overall. I think that this whole situation can be handled way better, of course, and that's the thing that with most of the ask Reddit and am I the asshole questions, where it's just like you need to probably handle things better overall. I think that you're not an asshole. I think that asking for your girlfriend to go to the fucking restaurant to get you new food, that seems a bit harsh. But yeah, I think that being like, hey, asking for some money back, I guess that makes sense. While I first saw this question, I was just like, oh, this is gonna be weird because you're a pregnant girlfriend, but like your girlfriend is not pregnant with your kid, so I think that that is a very important distinction, I guess, where it's just like, it's not your kid, so I can understand where it's just like it's a weird situation we're in, right? Because it is your girlfriend, she is pregnant, so in that way you should care for her. But then on the other hand, it's just like yeah, it's not your kid, right? It's not you guys' kid. So it's one of those weird things where it's just like, should you be, at that point, we're like, what is going on? What are we doing? So I think that going to the question, am I the asshole for asking my pregnant girlfriend to pay for or replace my meal because she ate all of it? I think you're not the asshole. I think that the situation is a weird one you're in where it's just like, yeah, your girlfriend is pregnant, but it's not your kid. And it's not a kid that you guys are going to raise together in a sense. So, in that sense, it's going to put you in some weird situations to begin with. Then asking her to pay for the money is just like, ooh, that's a weird situation you're in again, because it's one of those things where on one hand I'm just like, leave it be, just figure something else out, but on the other hand it's just like, oh, it was your food, and she said she wanted some of it, and then she took all of it, and then she didn't really take all of it because she just left half of the shit uneaten. So I think that is a bit of a weird situation, but overall, going to the question, you're not the asshole in the situation. No, the only thing that you should have done is you should have handled the situation differently. Just be like, hey, if you're gonna eat my food, please make sure that something else is there, because like I need to eat too, bro. Like I get you're pregnant, but it sucks. And then fucking calling the mom, didn't even mention that. Calling the mom is such a bitch ass move. What the fuck are you doing, bro? Why the fuck are we doing this? So we might need to think about this relationship. Like if the girl fucking goes to the mom for a goddamn plate of fucking food, that's a bit petty, bro. Don't do that. That's a bit petty. So definitely not the asshole, I would say. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Dindas podcast. Thank you for listening. And if you did have a good time, please leave a rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Both places give you the ability to leave a rating so everybody can see how much you're enjoying the show, and this can help the show grow in the future. You can find this show on anchor.fm/didn't-ask-pod. Over here, you can find all the links to your favorite podcast services around the globe where this podcast is available on. And it's basically on every fucking podcast service. So please go and find and subscribe, because that's going to help the podcast out tremendously. On the anchor.fm website, that link will be in the show description, by the way, you can also find a message button where you can ask me a personal question with you telling me what your question is, and then I can answer that question live on air. If you don't want your voice to be heard somewhere on this show, then please say it somewhere in your message, because then I'll just read the question out myself, so you can still get an answer to your question, but still stay anonymous. Well, I'll go to back next week. Hopefully, it's actually true this time. And in the meantime, and in between time, you could go to trek.tv to see all the TV shows and movies that I'm watching. Small disclaimer, trek.tv went down last week, and it's been a fucking mess ever since. So they're doing their best to recover all the data and make sure that everything is back up and running. But so far, they're having some issues and everything is like up to date up until November or something like that. So there is going to be a whole slew of fucking information coming soon to Track.tv, and then everything should be up and running again. But for now, it is not fully back up and running, but hopefully it will be soon. Okay, well, that's enough talking for me for this week. I hope to see you back next week. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.